Hello and welcome to another episode of The Raw Men. Today I'm in Southern California, North Los Angeles County, and I am interviewing Steve Hill, and he is a businessman, a real estate appraiser in the North Los Angeles County area. And you are, besides being a businessman, you're also an activist, as well as being a stand-up comedian.
Correct.
And I understand you're taking your career in a new direction now.
Yeah.
We're adding a new point on the resume.
Yeah, I'm putting a new segment, a new point on the star. It's I guess I would call myself an insurgent candidate.
An insurgent candidate, okay.
For state senate, 21st district, state of California.
So you're gonna run for the California State Senate. You said 21st?
21st district, yeah.
Okay. And so what about this makes you a special candidate?
Because I have a certain insight. I have a certain insight that most people don't have. Hardly any of the politicians I've seen display the kind of insight, the kind of life experience that would give you a unique perspective, per se, to some of the societal issues and some of the problems just dealing in a capitalistic society.
Well, I'm already of the opinion that a lot of the professional politicians, or at least the ones that have been in it for a while, don't have a great insight. They're not really in touch with a lot of things. So, but give me some specifics where you're coming from.
Well, I'm coming from, basically just my life experience. You know, I joined the United States Marine Corps, 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Before I even finished high school, I was in boot camp. And, you know, that was back when Ronald Reagan was my commander-in-chief. And I've always been like a political junkie, so I paid attention to who's in charge, who's running the country, who the politicians are, all the players in the Democratic Republican Party. So I was in tune to what was happening in the military and how the decisions of our leaders could have a negative impact on your life, like going to war, and things like that. And then, you know, even afterwards, after I got out of the Marine Corps, came to Los Angeles to work in the aerospace industry, I still saw how the leaders, like Reagan was still president, he was heavy on defense, and I worked in the aerospace industry, which is defense, and I saw how having a good paying job and how it was, you know, I could see how somebody could support a president when they're basically feeding you off of the industry and giving you a pretty decent lifestyle and a job with benefits, and so I could see how someone could vote for a person like that. But then on the other hand, living in Los Angeles and watching the whole crack epidemic, and then later finding out that our leaders had a hand in that, it was you know, it teaches you lessons that you can't learn in any school or college.
Real briefly, can you give me a summary explanation of how we found out that our leaders had a hand in that?
How we found out? Oh, during the Iran-Contra hearings.
Boy, yeah.
You know, I listened to Oliver North, and I listened to Reagan himself telling everyone that I don't remember, which turned out to be valid because he had Alzheimer's, but
that
still,
was
that was
a
an
famous
easy
catchphrase
answer.
at that point,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah. What did he know and when did he know it? And that would be real important with somebody with Alzheimer's, you know?
Yeah.
Like, well, I was already fucked up by then, you know, so.
So continuing on from there.
Oh, yeah, so from there, I got kind of bored working in the aerospace industry. I wanted to, you know, I missed that whole military continuity, that companion, that camaraderie that you get when you're in a unit, you're working as a team with people. So I thought I would go and work in a prison, you know, because it was kind of paramilitary. You know, most police departments are kind of paramilitary. And I kind of missed the physical training and being in shape. And so I went to work in a prison for 10 years, 2 different maximum security prisons, one being CCI, Tehachapi, the other being California State Prison, Los Angeles County, which is right out here. And it's the only prison within the bounds of Los Angeles County, so you get a lot of gang members, basically, from Southern California that request to go to this prison because of close proximity to their family and their support base. So I worked with that, and I had a big disagreement with the California Department of Corrections. I wound up taking an early retirement and was retrained as a real estate appraiser eventually. But before I was retrained as a real estate appraiser, I went to work in the middle school as campus security for a couple of years, which was kind of like working in the prison, except in the prison I didn't have to worry about getting shot. So anyway, that was a real eye-opening experience, how people at the lower end of the social and economic ladder, if those children, if you can see them, if they don't have the resources they need to get a good education, that they lead almost directly to the prison system. That conveyor belt from schools to prison. I've seen it in action. I've seen where they come from. I've seen where they go to, where they wind up at their inevitable end to their life, basically. So after working in the schools, I was finally eventually retrained as a real estate appraiser. I opened my business in 2004, which was like right when the market started heating up for the future failure, for the bubble that we were getting ready to experience. And I saw how home values were going up, 20, 30% a month. And I would joke with my constituents, my business partners, and like, hey, this can't continue, something bad's gonna happen. And sure enough, in 2007, all the banks dried up, they quit lending. I had no more appraisals to do. I was driving all over just trying to keep my business afloat. And I saw the devastating impact it had on people's lives. People were uprooted. All of a sudden, people who had been longtime homeowners became renters with bad credit and no chance of getting back in the market. The student population, kids are uprooted and had to go here. Some had to go back to Los Angeles. I mean, it was a mess. It affected everything. Jobs, a lot of the construction people that worked on homes, doing tile and home repair, all those people were unemployed. A lot of them lost their houses because of it, which only impacted the situation. Because here we have 82% single-family parcels, so it's like a bedroom community. Everybody commutes to LA to go to work, unless you work at aerospace or you work at the prison.
So it sounds like what you're describing then is your background is military and blue collar and white collar, kind of all at the same time.
All at the same time.
Okay.
So I get different perspectives from everything. Once you put all the puzzles together, all the pieces to the puzzle, it's an ugly picture. Because you got some people who will never make it no matter what. They can't break that cycle of poverty.
So what's the motivation that you want to be in the state senate to achieve what goal?
Oh, to get resources. The job of the state senator basically is to get money for your district.
Gotcha.
And a lot of people, you can't be a state senator. It's like, well, I wasn't a real estate appraiser until I became a real estate appraiser.
Yeah.
So if I'm elected, trust me, I'll go and do the job of a state senator. And that is to get money and resources back to your district. And I can be very persuasive and commonsensical and fair-minded. I work easily with people. So I think I would be very effective in Sacramento. Just because people know that when I deal with them, we talk, I'm telling the truth. That's kind of rare for a politician. I might not even fit up there, but I'd make it work.
So you've given me some indication before the camera started rolling that not everybody shares this opinion of how you're speaking the truth, or that you're going to represent, or what is it, the obstacles that you're facing in your run?
Oh, it's the secular, it's the humanist thing that, a lot of people want to support you, but they can't openly support you because they'll be ridiculed and persecuted by people at the church. This is a really religious area that I'm in. And this is basically one of the reasons I started to run, was just to get a voice in my own community, because everyone else is too afraid to even say anything.
So the people
and there's other humanists, atheists in the community that are actually, wishing the best for me, but that don't help when everybody knows with money in politics, you got to have bucks to reach the people, because the people are so apathetic about politics, and they don't really get involved. They're too busy struggling trying to survive. So you gotta like go outside literally and hit people over the damn head. Say, hey, I'm running for state senate. This is what I think. This is what I want to say. So
Yeah, there was a time when I was like that too.
yeah.
I honestly, when I went to the Iowa caucuses in 1988, they asked me, are you a Republican or a Democrat? And I honestly didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then they said, well, you're a Democrat. I said, how do you know? And they said, trust me.
Take my word for it.
Yeah, and I don't identify as a Democrat, but I'm closer to them than obviously the Republicans.
Right.
So the obstacles that you're seeing, you got a support base, or you thought that you had a support base here, but they can't openly support you because it's going to affect how they're seen in their church groups.
Yeah, it'll support. It'll have a devastating impact on their relationships with church people.
What would be so devastating about supporting Steve Hill for state senate?
Just their relationships. That would be, say there was a Trump supporter,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe your particular church didn't care for Trump. And you went to church telling everybody how great Trump is. People would look at you, they'd make you uncomfortable at minimum. But it would be something like that. It's peer pressure. It's people not being strong enough to stand up for what they believe in
Mm-hmm.
because of the ridicule they face and the backlash. You get backlash in this area. I've been blatantly discriminated against because of my lack of belief. I got documentation to prove it. Once again, one of the reasons I'm running, to have a voice in my own community. So, if just what it takes, if I have to tell them I'm the devil to get their attention, then
you're alluding to another story that you haven't actually told. Do you want to dig that one out?
which one? Which one is that?
To say that you're the devil.
Oh, TST, TST in the house. Yeah, the Satanic Temple. Yeah, I like them. I like the whole concept of worshiping Satan, who is like the arch enemy of the guy that everybody worships. So to me, that is like, okay, you motherfuckers, you don't want to listen to me, maybe you listen to the devil. so yeah, that is so cool. The whole thought behind that is vaguely entertaining to me.
Vaguely entertaining, okay. But you're also famously an atheist activist, so clearly
Yeah.
you're not worshiping anything, right?
Right, of course not. Of course
So
not. Of course not.
I want to make that clear because
I'm just
people-
trying. I'm
People will
just trying
take
to
that
see
quote.
people how silly it is.
Yeah,
like,
but
to
you know
worship
how
anything.
people are when they take
Oh, of
that
course.
quote and run with it.
Of course. I'll be burning babies in no time.
So apart from being a black satanic atheist,
Free-thinking, skeptical, secular humanist,
yeah,
black non-believing, satanic worshiper.
I wouldn't have thought you'd had any problem now. In Texas, maybe.
Oh no!
This is California.
This is one of the most religious areas in Los Angeles County. It may be the religious. Matter of fact, Lancaster, the city right above me here, they have the most churches per capita, more than churches anywhere in the state. The mayor has deemed it to be a Christian community,
Mhm.
which I find very divisive. It divides people automatically as soon as you say we're all Christians in this Christian community. Okay, so what do the Islamic people think? What do the Jews think?
Yeah, why would you?
Why would you do that? Because everybody's not a Christian. So why would you do that? It's because of the religious bullying, and nobody ever speaks back, says anything, no dissenting, voices. So this is what we get. This shit feels like living under ISIS. People just totally enthralled and.
Well, people can't even support the candidate they like. I mean, you were telling me
Right.
that people tell you to your face that, yeah, we like you, we hope for the best, we want you to win, but they won't actually say or advertise or
Right.
promote you.
I'm just hoping they vote for me. Just vote for me. That's all I need them to do. It's the only thing that matters in the end. Whether they vote for you or not. So the pressure would be just getting the message out there.
Okay, so on the topic of politics, what is your political background? I mean, where do you side, and what
I'm a
motivates
Bernie crap.
you?
Yeah, I don't know how he knows what he knows, but he knows the truth. And he speaks it right there. And I know that's why he's getting the following, because people want the truth. People want to hear the truth. They don't want no bullshit. They want the truth. They want to know where, when you try to privatize everything, when you privatize education, when everyone knows that the key to even trying to hit that elusive middle class is a good education, and then they make it difficult for you to get a good education. It's kind of like a whole contradiction in the system. But see, in a capitalistic society, they want workers anyway. They don't want people who can think. They want workers. They want manual. I mean, come on, this country has an insatiable appetite for labor. People that get out and work and do that. I mean, that's how the whole slavery shit started.
Yeah, well, you do have a very different philosophy with some of the people that are, well, let's see, how do I want to describe this division? There are people, and especially like in the Republican side, where they don't really want their kids to have a better understanding than they do, so that they can take over the helm and make a better, better world than they have.
Progressive, that's what I would progress the human species.
Yeah, I've actually heard people argue throughout my life that progress was a bad thing. Progress.
Right. And that must have been a conservative, because they want to conserve the status quo.
Exactly, and they would always hear, the good old days, the way things are. Why can't it just be the way things used to be?
Right. Right. Yeah, that's that.
Why do you need to try to? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Ben Carson philosophy.
Yeah, and I get
he just want to help.
I get in a lot of arguments with people, especially online, about what we need to be doing and why.
And we need to be educating our youth. That's what we need to be doing.
Yeah. I would rather that our future generations have a better idea, better understanding than we have. And a lot of people have mentioned that they want to elect Trump, for example, because they think he's going to run the company like a business, or run the country like a business, which hopefully he won't do, because all of his businesses have gone bankrupt.
Right.
But if we were to run this country like a business, then businesses train their personnel, right?
Right.
For free.
You would want the best, highly trained personnel you could find. They would be the optimal employee.
So what we have now,
highly productive.
A lot of our scientists that are doing our work here in the United States are actually coming from other countries, because we haven't educated our own people. And one of the things that I've been hearing from scientists is that when you have teams of scientists in the United States, there might be two Americans. That'll be the director of the project and the janitor.
Yeah.
Everyone else is foreign born. So we either train our own people or we have to outsource. That's the only option we have.
Right. Yeah, the outsourcing, these trade deals, they're killing NAFTA, to get out of paying.
I'm cutting this.
All right, we'll cut this section.
Hold on. Let me see did I get that? Come on. Yeah, I apologize.
Shit happens.
Yeah.
That's life.
And that was from my own home neighborhood too, so I'll figure out what that is later. I apologize. How do we pick back up? What were you saying? And we'll just start over again.
Yeah. Oh, we were talking about education. We want highly trained individuals to be optimally effective and efficient instead of hiring dummies. That's what we were talking about. We were talking about the training, and I think it's vital that we have highly trained, highly skilled professionals being the best, whatever they're producing, whatever they're working at. If it's in the food service industry, I want my order right when it comes out the window. Better society, better for all of us.
So I'm going to guess then, as an atheist activist, of course, you're going to be for the separation of church and state, and you're going to be for accepting mainstream science.
Exactly.
Okay, and where do your interest in this go? Because we could talk about alternative energy, we can talk about sustainable housing, all kinds of different subjects. What motivates you in the political field? What would you like to get control of?
I like to get control of modernizing older homes, create jobs by letting people come in and replace windows with low E glass, energy efficient, solar.
So now
we
they
create so many jobs by doing that. But go ahead.
did you have any other platforms that maybe I don't know?
Oh, education, and the over incarceration of people at the lower end of the social and economic ladder. It bothers me. One day history is gonna look back and go, wow, that period between the civil rights movement and at the end of the crack epidemic.
Yeah.
Lots of black people were basically like enslaved in a corrupt legal system, correctional, judicial system, that it was going to be, history is going to show that it's going to be just another form of slavery.
Yeah, and I'm from Texas, of course. We have I think we have the highest percentage of our population in prison, of anybody in the country. And our country has.
Oh, our country's doing fine.
Our country has more people in prison than like any other country. I mean,
Right.
substantially more.
Right.
And then, to make things worse, in Texas, we also have by far the most capital, the most people being
Put to death.
put
Right.
to death. Yes.
Which you would think that religious people wouldn't want to kill anyone, no matter under any circumstances. That I know something about in some commandments, thou shalt not kill. That should be under any circumstance.
I also noticed that a lot of people, of course, when you look at the prison populations, there are by far more believers in prison than non-believers.
Oh, I've worked in prisons for 10 years and never met one African American atheist.
So when you talk about people who have a religious belief, and I'm sure you've seen from the prison system, your experience there, that people have a tendency to justify what they've done, so that their God has forgiven them, or their God understands why they did it, and their God agrees with why they did it, or their God wanted them to do it. So,
But yet they sit in prison.
so they're looking at the death sentence as an escape, wherein they will rejoin the God who thinks that they were completely justified in their actions or forgiven for them anyway.
Right.
So how is that a punishment?
There's all kinds of ways, and this is why I hate preachers and leaders of churches, because there's all kinds of ways that people trick their minds to justify the stupidity and the absence of anything valid about religion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a horrible, inhumane thing to do for someone who knows that they possess a certain ability to manipulate or maul a young mind into a belief system that they're going to be trapped in the rest of their life. And I just find it just repulsive.
Yeah, now most of the people that I interview, obviously are atheist activists. They tend to be. It's just the connections that I have. And
Kind of works out like that.
yeah, I
When
don't.
you selling chocolate, you sell candy bars.
Yeah, I didn't want to do only interviews with atheists, but I find when I'm looking for progressive people, when I'm looking for people who are, and this is what my show's really all about, is people who are trying to fix things. I want to take somebody who is, you can complain about anything. Everybody can complain about anything. It takes somebody to come up with a solution, or then actually trying to enact it. So these are the people that I most want to speak to. And for the most part, they happen to be atheists. And I say for the most part because I'm allowing a benefit of the doubt. I haven't actually met a believer yet. Just to fix things.
Kind of like a unicorn.
Yeah. Now, it may be because of my circles, and if you know somebody like what I'm talking about, go, hook me up. I'll be happy to talk to them.
Yeah, let's put them on the show.
Yeah. So I'm looking for somebody that wants to fix things, is motivated by it. Now, what did you have anything else in your platform that you wanted to fix, or what would you, if not, what would you like to see fixed? What's your biggest motivation there? Is it the economy? Is it the environment? What is it?
I think it's making the community live up to what they say they are, to make them stop being hypocrites,
Mm-hmm.
for them not to bash the people at the lower end of the social and economic ladder, stop using them for
Can you
fodder.
be specific about that? Because I've got a few running through my head. Like the references on the minimum wage going up to 15,
Mhm.
right? Where they're talking about how somebody that's flipping burgers doesn't deserve $15 an hour.
Mhm.
Is that the kind of thing that you're thinking about? Because that's what the first thought went in my head.
No, I'm thinking more in the lines of exploitation,
Mm-hmm.
because every area that I know of that has low income housing, I'm going to have people that are not making that much money. or living on Section 8 government assistance. And then you have like this area, for example. One of the first things they teach you when you go to the Corrections Academy is that when you bring a prison into a community, you change the demographics of that community. And that whole concept is expressed tenfold here in Los Angeles County, where you have an enormous amount of street gang activity right here, 45 minutes away, and you put a state prison there, and then you have an ample supply of affordable housing. So what happens is inmates want to try to keep their families intact, so they move close to the prison. Mm-hmm. So they move close to the prison in the low-income area where there's affordable housing. You know, you're not going to be ahead of a company and move to a place where that usually doesn't happen. So they come in, and then the whole area has changed now. You have people struggling. You don't have an adequate supply of jobs, so you mess up an entire community. But on the other hand, those are the people that need the help and the assistance and the education. But then when you have a mayor or elected officials that use those people for the other people on the other side of town, use it against them and say, these are people here are your problem, and you have a city that's divided, you have people that are divided, and you have this animosity, and you see people just struggling every day to survive. That's the kind of thing I'd like to try to change. Just wake everybody up and say, look, we could bitch and complain about it, or we could help.
Yeah. Now you said another key word here that people will react to. You said to wake people up. Now, one of the criticisms I get from the online banter is that when you say something like that, then you're sounding like a conspiracy theorist. And this is one of the ways that people want to dismiss whatever you say. Mm-hmm. If, for example, if I'm talking about I see a news story, I put a citation of a news story and I make a comment about it. People want to dismiss that news story is even happening because the article used the wrong picture.
Right.
Maybe the stock photo isn't the right one.
Right.
So they dismiss the whole thing. So, okay, well, what about this story then? And the picture is completely innocuous. Oh, well, the source is unreliable. Okay, well, what about the New York Times? Is this it's the same story? Right. It's a different picture.
What meets your criteria for validity?
Yeah, when are you going to accept that this is an actual thing and it's really happening? And so you said you're a Bernie-crat, right? So people are going to automatically dismiss because if you support Bernie, that means you're some kind of conspiracy theorist. And they do. How many generalizations have you seen? Broad brush generalizations, right? And you hear it for the Hillary supporters too. Why can't we talk about issues? And this is what I've tried to argue.
Right.
I want to argue specific issues. You can't get that. You can't get people who think in nuance. It's got to be in broad generalities. It's got to be putting people in a very few boxes.
Well, that makes people comfortable when they can put you in a box.
Yeah.
Because, hey, that's where you are. You know, that's like people asking me all my life, do you play basketball? They want to put you in that box like, I knew you was yeah, look at you. Yep, I knew, I'm smart. Go fuck yourself. I don't play basketball.
You know, you've given a few examples in an earlier conversation about the boxes that people put it in. I thought there was beautiful illustrations that I wish I could remember some of the examples you gave about how people just automatically judge. And then when you correct the judgment, that still doesn't fix, they still hold on to that same misconception. Right. Yeah. Just so you can stay in that box.
Right. Because now if you're not in that box, where do you go? Where do they put you? How do they react to you now? And it makes people uncomfortable.
Because you got to do without the boxes and spread it on the table.
Yeah. Right. Lay it out there. Lay it out flat.
Yeah, well then it becomes a mess, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you have any other highlights about your candidacy or anything else that you're doing?
No, just working to pay for my campaign. You know,
what's involved in that? Because there was a lot of people that want to get into politics that have been recently motivated, who are against the career politicians. I've heard of stories of dozens of Bernie-crats, people who are motivated by the humanitarian aspect. And
just being a good human being, and they want to do human shit.
If it's not enough that they can change the world with their vote, then they're going to change the world with direct action by actually getting into the offices. Right. And that I'm really excited about. So I want as many people as possible to get into politics for the first time, especially if you're looking for a job.
Yeah, it's not that difficult. I don't have a police record or nothing like that. I don't have any skeletons. I don't have any buried bodies. You're not going to see women coming out of the woodworks like Herman Cain. I have nothing like that. So I'm a pretty clean candidate, pretty honest person, you know. And it's pretty much the prerequisite for applying. Pay a couple of fees, pay for your FPPC campaign consultants, and get on the ballot. So
is it?
I would recommend it for all atheists, because that's the only way you're going to have a voice in your community.
That's true. That's true.
It's the only way.
And then you have to be, as you said, you have to be without what was it? Without the scandal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You want to be clean to do this. Trust me. You don't want to be a crack addict, atheist running for office. Don't work like that.
You know, there was a time that we went to the Rockwall City Council in Rockwall, Texas, and the mayor was just dissing on everybody. They had this little short wall at their desks about this high, and this panel goes all the way around. We couldn't tell, but they all had their like iPads or their tablets out there, and they're typing messages on Facebook, criticizing the people giving testimony.
Wow.
And people are screenshotting it because it's online now, right? And so this is happening while someone is giving. There was this woman giving testimony. She's crying so emotionally to her, and they're just, you know, we're going to do what we want to do. You know, screw these people.
Right.
Screw these atheists. We're going to continue our churchy vocations and things like that.
Right. That's why you got to go and get an insight to fight them.
So I had the idea, and unfortunately, I represent a 501c3, and I can't tell people who to vote for.
Right.
But if I could, I would have done this. I wanted to go down to the employment office, grab somebody there. You live in this town? Okay. and you need a job, right? Well,
right.
Okay. It probably would have to grab a Christian, because how am I going to get an atheist elected?
Right. Exactly.
But I could have gotten.
It's going to be rough.
In this town, only 11% of the population voted. So
Right.
I could have grabbed a guy from the unemployment line, seriously, gathered the atheist community up, promote this guy in Rockwall, Texas. We've got his ass elected.
Could have. Yeah.
There, you have a
It
job.
It can happen, yeah.
And you replaced this guy.
Right. Yeah. The mayor up in the city above me, he was just reelected.
Mhm.
They have a population approximately 250,000 people. He got elected with 5% of the eligible registered voters. He got elected. Only 5% of them voted, but he went off.
You hear this? We have so many people that are disenfranchised and just trusting that things are going to go on, you know, if they don't vote. I mean, there's a lot of people in the atheist community who say that, you know, it doesn't matter who you vote for, they're all the same.
So
it's
I
a
don't
broken
vote.
system.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, and I don't personally think that inaction qualifies as an action.
No.
But if they're going to vote in 5%, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to be the mayor of a town in Southern California?
Right. Right. Hey, who knows? Might be able to get your dog elected here.
I think your vote will count.
That's right.
So yeah, and I really want to motivate people, because as I said, there was a time when I didn't understand. I had no political motivation. I just thought that people were going to do the right thing, and of course, I saw more and more that didn't happen. I used to think when I was a little kid that people elected leaders because those leaders were smarter than everybody else and were therefore more capable.
Not necessarily so.
Exactly. Well, when I thought that, the president at that time was named Richard Nixon.
Tricky day.
And within a year, we come to realize, no, maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah, he got ran out of town on a helicopter screaming, "I am not a crook."
Yeah. So I think we'll leave that there. And we'll go ahead and close it out here. It's just been really fun. Thank you for having me, by the way.
No problem.
Always good to see you.
Anytime you're in the area, just stop in. Bring your camera with you.
All right, so
Have a good time.
So Steve Hill for California State Senate District 21.
That's it. Steve Hill for State Senate at gmail.com, and Facebook, Steve Hill for State Senate. Website, Steve Hill for State Senate. I feel a pattern developing here. But yeah. I would ask for donations, but I think I can do this myself.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't want any influence from atheists. You know, I might get a bad reputation.
Yeah, and this guy has already worn a TST shirt.
Yeah, I wore a TST shirt to a debate.
to a political debate.
Yeah.
As a candidate.
As a candidate, it was fun. It'll be out there in a minute.
Outstanding.
Yeah, we're working on it.
All right. Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night.